Welcome to the Focus and Chill podcast, where we discuss unconventional productivity tactics designed for neurospicy people. I interview neurodivergent guests who've figured out secrets for getting a ton of amazing work done without burning out. I'm your host, Jeremy Nagel. I'm an AudiHD software developer turned startup founder and PhD candidate. I built Focus Bear to help with my own productivity and burnout challenges. Welcome to episode number 134 of the Focus and Chill podcast. And I'm joined by fellow proud autistic person, Kyriakos Gold. And we're both wearing the t-shirts from the amazing event that Kyriakos organizes. Great to have you back on.
Nice to be here, Jeremy. It's always great to talk to you.
So in our last episode, we were talking about how you made that amazing painting behind you. And then we're going to talk about some of your other hobbies as well. What other hobbies do you enjoy at the moment?
I have to say that this is the second time somebody asked me that this week. And I kind of froze because I said, oh, my work is my special interest.
Yeah,
So I really enjoy working. So sometimes I have a break, have something to eat, and then get back to work. And it's really pleasant for me. And I know that sounds really nerdy, but it's just the way it works. If I was to think of things that I really enjoy, I enjoy restaurants and food and beautiful flavors. I do like to eat a lot, but almost in a ceremonial way. Like I like going out with friends. I don't drink a lot. I don't drink at all, I would say, for Australian standards. So for me, food is the connecting catalyst. So that's definitely a hobby. I'd say I'm a foodie, and I do enjoy travel, which I do for work anyway. So I try to sometimes splurge on a particular hotel that I might want to spend that is very sensory friendly, or I travel with my mind when I'm in that beautiful hotel environment. Some hotels are really, really nice. And I, while I can't afford them all the time, sometimes you can actually access some at special rates. So yeah, travel and food would be at the top there in hobbies. Media that somehow touches on my work has been my special interest since I was a child. It comes in my life in different ways. I used to read up on media quite a lot when I was younger. Now I like to see the patterns in communication cycles. And I know it sounds a bit geeky. I geek out when I look at, okay, this is the new cycle, and this is the minister that we're attacking today, and this is how long it's going to last. And this is what's happening in the US and how it's going to affect Australia. So all that kind of like pattern recognition within media has become a bit of a hobby for me. So yeah, it all kind of links to work though. So the travel and the food is at different places where I go with work and meeting friends. Media still links to the government relations and stuff that I do for work. So maybe that's not very healthy. I don't know. Maybe it's super autistic, but it kind of works for me. Yeah.
I'm similar. I'm really keen to hear about the sensory friendly hotels. What do you look for when you're looking for a hotel?
So it kind of happened naturally. So I've only been autistic. Well, I've been autistic all my life, but I've known I'm autistic for the last 6 years. So even the terminology for me at times is very new. So sensory friendly is something that's come to my life as a term about 5 years ago. But before that, I used to think, oh, this feels really expensive and really posh, but I really don't like it. I just don't like the light. I don't like the sound bounces. So yes, some hotels might advertise as sensory friendly now, but for me, it's more about the way it feels, like the dim lighting, the minimalist design, the type of bed you get, the noise, how the noise travels between the rooms. I find that a lot of the new hotels don't feel solid enough. Like a lot of new development is kind of using material that is not as sturdy, and you can actually hear people, or when you touch the walls, they feel really flimsy. I know it sounds really detailed, but like these are the things that I look at. I like to feel like I'm safe. So darker colors for me work, to be honest, not too much clutter, definitely noise and acoustics. And of course, if it's close to good food.
Have you found a way to actually filter for hotels like that? Because that sounds great. That's what I'd look for as well.
I haven't found a way to filter in an automatic way, but I now kind of know the hotels by chain.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
I know, like, because I fly every week, and I travel between Sydney and Melbourne, and chains are now very international. So you always know if I go to XYZ chain, that's what I'm gonna get for $200 a night, and if I go to ABC chain, that's what I'm gonna get for $300 a night. So for
Mm.
me, it is a combination of budget,
Mm.
and length of travel, and sometimes the budget's not there. So I suck it up and I stay in a hotel that might not tick all the boxes, but it ticks some as well as it is within the budget constraints. I also try to be as close as I can to the office when I travel, or where I need to go. A lot of autistic people, me included, we like to map an area so we feel safe. So the first time you go somewhere, you don't really enjoy it because you kind of like, okay, where am I? What's that street? Where do I go? Where do I turn? How safe is this? So sometimes I make sure if it's our first time in an area that I stay as close as possible to work to minimize all that. If
Mm.
I've been somewhere a few times, I get a little bit more adventurous.
Yeah, makes sense. Would you be comfortable sharing the top $200 hotel and the top $300 one without
Uh,
without
I
endorsing those chains?
well, look, it's not endorsed, but like in Melbourne, for me, close to my office, that is at QV, I found that the Novotel Melbourne Central has been good value. Um, there's also the Indigo has been a lot quieter than the Novotel. Like I really like the Indigo. There's a few hotels. The Indigo is a bit more expensive than the Novotel, and Novotel has the only decent ibis I think in Melbourne is the one at Melbourne Central, which is on the same building with the Novotel. So for bargain hunters, if you're looking at a cheap hotel, that's probably the one that you'd go
Uh-huh.
to. But in a completely autistic review, they use a particular kind of bleach that is a bit intense.
Mm.
So I find that a little bit too much sometimes.
All
It's
right. You
those
can
little
smell it when
things,
you go in.
like for example, the Brady is a nice cheap hotel close to Melbourne Central, but it's had construction for the last 5 years next to it. So
Mm.
sometimes it's been really, really loud.
Mm.
There is a hotel that is very cheap most of the times. It's called Jasper, that is close to the Victorian Market. That is not as new inside, but it has much better beds than the others. So it just
Mm.
depends on what you like. And then there's
Mm.
fancy ones like, there's a new Sheraton. The Westin is always amazing. Has the best beds, I think. The Park Hyatt has good beds as well, but it's very grand, so you kind of get lost in it. There's different variations depending on what you want to do in Melbourne, because I travel to Melbourne quite a lot. So in Sydney, I haven't been testing the hotels the last few years because I have a place here.
Mm.
So there is a new hotel that I'm dying to check out in Redfern. And if we ever do another podcast, I'll let you know. But I remember in the old days, the Kirkuton Hotel had really beautiful gray colors that I used to walk in and think, oh, this is really pleasant. And I was thinking, why is it so pleasant? It's very gray. But but Sydney's famous for its grand hotels that look over the water. So
Mm.
very different to Melbourne. When you go overseas, you've got a lot more options in terms of chains, and things can get a lot fancier, but it really depends on the destination.
Yeah, well, thanks for that lowdown. I'll have to do a look out for that. I've had bad luck sometimes with hotels. I stayed in one in Sydney, which was a nice chain, and the overall building was good. But my room, for some reason, they put a motion sensor above my bed.
Oh,
So
wow.
the whole night it kept on blinking. And then I'd look up because I saw it blinking, and then it blinks more because then it detects motion.
I hate that. And they sometimes they have the exit sign, which supposed to have like a light so you can see it, and it's just across your bed. And it's like, how is that gonna work?
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for anyone, let alone for an autistic person, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But I think hotels are not, they're made of, although they you see a lot nicer hotels in pictures, the quality of the finishings. Is it finishings or furnishings? It's not as nice as it was 10, 20 years ago. They don't spend as much money on the fittings. So when you touch things, if you're a person that likes to touch, it feels very different. That it would like I would do two things. I would smell and then I would just start touching things to see where I am. And I know, like, now that we're talking about it, and I bring it to my mind, I'm like, gosh, Kiri, you are more autistic than you think.
Maybe you can start a YouTube channel or a TikTok account with reviewing hotels,
Reviewing hotels,
just
yeah, yeah,
smelling
yeah.
them and touching them.
Feeling and touching. I do the same thing with clothes when I go clothes shopping. I just touch to see if this is something would feel nice.
Oh, yeah.
When I put it on, I won't put it on unless it feels nice.
Yeah, I think I'm similar. It has to feel good. Otherwise, I don't want to wear it, even if it looks nice.
There is as I'm packing to go to Europe at the moment, and I don't know if you've noticed, and if anyone's listening to this podcast, they're gonna think, okay, this is an insight on autistic minds. When you used to buy scarves in like say 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, they didn't have as much lint.
Ah.
Okay. Lately, whatever they've decided to use at Zara, for example, to make them, they are so soft to touch and you just want to be cuddled by them. But the amount of lint that comes out, it's just crazy. So I have spent the night trying to find remedies on how to get rid of lint before I put them in my luggage. And apparently, you wash them and you put them in the freezer and you do a whole bunch of really crazy stuff so you can remove the lint. But it's just a sign of the times that the reason I'm sharing this is they used to use different materials to make clothes.
Mm,
The big companies have found cheaper ways of producing clothes. They might feel better to touch, but they might not be breathable fabric, or it might create other issues later on. So if
mm.
you've got a way of going about things, you should always consider that things are changing in terms of recipes, materials, building fittings, and you can make life easier or more difficult later on.
So if you find a good scarf, then buy 5 of them.
Buy 5 of them, yes.
Okay, so now moving on to the productivity tips. I'm keen to talk about receipts actually, because you were saying you've got a lot of receipts that you're processing, and we can brainstorm some ideas here because you were saying it's painful to deal with right now. You're taking a photo of them and then do you upload them
Yeah,
into
because
Zero or something?
I've got an iPhone, so I normally take pictures of them. There is a scanning feature on the iPhone in the
Mm.
notes, but it scans such high quality that when you try to send them, they don't fit in the email. And it's just like, I don't want to scan a billboard. So I'm still to find an easy way to take, and look at it. It's because it was in my pocket, so I need to find a way to straighten it, make sure to take a
Mm.
picture. The easiest way is to take a picture and send it to the accountant. But my OCD brain is gonna be, it doesn't look good in the pictures. You're sending really sloppy pictures, so I'm never happy. What are your what are your techniques? What do you do?
Well, my technique is I don't buy anything with cash, and then I
Yeah, but
have
you
it
still
all.
need the receipt. They're not cash receipts. They're just the receipts for the tax office.
I don't take photos. I
So
don't.
how do you send them to your accountant?
I
You
don't.
don't. You don't. Okay.
And
No,
just trust
I
that the FPOS receipt is enough. But when I get audited, your listeners, you'll know that you shouldn't be like me. You should be like Kyriakos.
no, you have to, like, I do my best, and I have a good accountant that keeps me on my toes. Don't always love them, but they're really tough on me. But you need a good accountant to, especially for us autistic people that who might be good at certain things and might not be good at others. If accounting is not your forte, you need someone there if you're running a business.
Yeah, 100%. I've sometimes used Zero with the mobile app where you can upload
Yeah,
receipts
that's
from
supposed
there
to be
as well.
good. That's supposed to be good. I've used it a few times, but I just find it a bit fiddly. You do need to spend, I mean, you need to spend the time on it. I can't wait for the time that receipts become automatic.
Mm. Hmm.
I mean, we should have the technology for it right now.
Yeah, some vendors do. Like Bunnings
So
could do
you
an e-receipt.
you give them an email and it comes to you. Or, yeah.
Yeah. And the retailers that have Square, they seem to do it. But I don't know, it doesn't really link up with anything. That'll be the end solution where we don't have to do this busy work, that it just
That it
automatically
automatically,
happens.
yeah. I don't think go too far. Apparently, there's some AI. Excuse me. There's some AI tools that scan through your emails and then match them.
I should probably use that.
Yeah, I've been looking at testing some stuff during December. So if anything good comes up, I'll let you know. But receipts is definitely my weak spot.
It, I guess it's mine too. Ignoring it is probably not a sensible strategy. And there was a time where my accountant asked me to get receipts for my BAS statement, and then
Mhm.
it was quite annoying. I had to go through and find the receipts from my email, which took ages. Much better if you
Oh,
have the right one.
wow. Yeah, well, I think that AI tool does that for you now.
Ah, all right. I'm gonna look into it too. And how about
Or
taking
invent one. You're in the business of having apps, so maybe you can add that as a little API.
very good. I'll add that to my roadmap. And speaking about emails, receipts is one thing in there. How do you go with emails overall? Are you good at managing your inbox, or does it get
I
overwhelming?
don't like having the red dot on my phone.
Hmm.
So as things come, I action them or I read them. So I'm pretty good with my email box and SMSs being always at zero.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things that I do, which is probably not the best thing, is if something I can't finish, I leave the email open on my desktop. So sometimes I have like 20, and for me that I'm also ADHD, there might be like about 20 emails that are just waiting there to be done. And then I
Hmm.
just sit myself down for a few hours to just finish everything. As I'm about to fly in a couple of hours, I've got two laptops now on and just making sure that all the emails are done before I go anywhere. And that's why I'm in receipt mode. So I don't have to carry receipts with me. But generally pretty good with the emails, generally pretty good with work. I used to, I think your sensory profile and age have a lot to do with how productive you are. Not every day is not the same, as most of us know. So I found out that as I get older, I don't have the stamina that I used to have to work really late hours.
Hmm.
I used to have a list a day, and if the list wasn't done, I wouldn't go to bed. And
Hmm.
I would just work like 12, 13, 14, 16 hours. I was just crazy in the sense of, I hope the word is not offensive to anyone. I was just not great with looking after myself. I was working far too much so I can feel successful enough to go to bed. Because if I
Hmm.
hadn't done my list, I wasn't a good business person or whatever I was thinking.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm really tired, I'll just go to bed. I leave for the next day, and I kind of, instead of the daily list, it's kind of like a weekly list. And I'm slowly working to being better at saying no. Before, everything needed to be done. I couldn't say no to anything, which somehow I managed till the age of 48. The
Hmm.
last year or two, it's becoming harder and harder. So rather than punishing myself, which I used to do, both thinking about it, but also making me work long hours, I now decide to leave some things out.
That sounds really sensible and better for.
It does, but it's really hard to do. It was for me, and it's hard. It was hard for me to say no to people as well. But for example, how we took a while to get back to the second recording of the podcast, and how we both made allowances for each other. Like I would have never done that before. I would have just said, Kiri, you just have to film it today. Yeah, so like it's just a lot, life is a lot easier when you are allowing yourself to be in many different ways. You don't have to be perfect every day.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have a philosophy around what you say no to?
It used to be no to people that are not value aligned. So that was the easiest one. Then there were people that were not necessarily, what's the word? Bad people. They were just not, you just you just were getting a really difficult feeling around them, a challenging feeling, and you couldn't say that person is racist or homophobic or sexist or not affirming in terms of your intersectionality or disability. But there was just something there, and I've learned to say no to them second. Now, and I think that's a very important step for me, and I wish I had done that earlier. I listen to my body in terms of I'm really tired, I can't do this. And at the same time, without thinking much about it, because what I've just described has been a conscious process, I've also stopped going out as much. For example, I used to have a very serious case of FOMO. If
Mm.
something was happening that was within my sphere of interest, I needed to be there. And sometimes I needed to be in two places at once. So that I have stopped doing because I was going to places and I wasn't present. It was just I needed to be there so I can just say to myself that I've done it. So when people talk about it, I knew how it was. I have no idea why I was doing it, but now I've actually let go. And that might be because of age as well. Like, at 50, you don't really care about going clubbing. You don't really care about being in a bar. And then it kind of evolves organically. So that happened at the same time as I learned to say no at my work. And as I said before, work and hobby are one. So it just completely takes over my life.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that sounds wise. And I was curious before when you were talking about with your hobbies, with food and travel being the key ones and not drinking too much. I
I
was
don't
curious
drink. Yeah.
about, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't drink. And I was curious about how you deal with situations where people say, "Oh, do you want to catch up for a drink?" What do
Oh,
you do with the,
I sometimes I have a drink. It's a lemon lime and bitters.
yeah.
So I have that. And I don't really catch up for drinks in the sense of let's go have a beer. I don't
Mm.
do that because that environment is very noisy for me as well. Like a
Yeah.
pub is not fun for me.
Yeah.
A gastropub, like a pub that has very good menu, or like some spaces that are not as loud and it's got a dining area, that I will go to. But I wouldn't go
Mm.
to your local pub. Like that's not me.
Mm.
When people used to say, let's go for a drink, I might say, look, I don't drink, but I'll catch you for some food. Or I would kind of explain. I
Mhm.
try not to put myself in those situations because I wouldn't have fun in a pub and I can't hear what people are saying as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good way of answering it. I might try that myself as well because I do enjoy catching up with people for dinner in a quiet restaurant or somewhere where
Yeah.
you can hear well.
I think people are more open to have the discussion about neurodiversity than they were
Mm.
5 years ago, or even 3 years ago. If you say, look, I can hear very well in those environments. Would you mind if we go somewhere quieter? People are
Mm.
not going to say no.
Mm.
If you say, look, my sensory profile, blah, 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 or I find it really challenging to concentrate in that environment, is there a pub we can go that has that type of room or has a dining area or an outdoor area sometimes works really well in summer?
Mm. Yeah.
So there's many ways of phrasing it as long as you know that you can. So
Mm.
like before you didn't even think that you could say no or that you could say yes. You would have to say no because you couldn't be there and you couldn't be there and enjoy yourself. So you would just say no and you just lose on friendships.
And there's a middle way of being
Yeah.
able to catch up but in a nicer environment.
And also, you don't have to be autistic to feel that, right? So,
Mm.
culturally, not all cultures drink. For
Mm.
example, you could be Muslim, or you might relate more with food like a Greek person. Yeah. So, you don't have to be neurodivergent to enjoy life in a different way. You don't have to disclose you're autistic to say, I need you to consider this for me. It's just why don't we go somewhere quieter?
Yeah, 100%.
There's no need for anything more to it. Because there's I've been reflecting on this, the unmasking component and the sharing component. And sometimes, at least for me, I have unmasked too much. And I felt that I haven't had the safest year. So sometimes you don't need to disclose too much. You just need to say, why don't we go somewhere quieter?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. And then if they really pressed you, then you could
Oh, well,
say
look,
why.
I just can't. I can't hear. I can't hear. Who's going to ask you why? And even if they do, like, I don't know, I haven't checked it.
And I've had good experiences with that as well. For the work Christmas party, we went to a rooftop bar,
Yeah.
and we also went there a couple of months ago before I went on parental leave. And
Yeah.
everyone was really happy. I think everyone appreciated that environment where it's a bit quieter and it's a nice ambience. People didn't really like it when we went there a few weeks ago because there was lots of pollen in the air and being
Yeah.
outdoors wasn't good. But in winter, it's a good spot. Well, I know you're about to leave for a trip, so we could wrap it up there. If there's any final messages you want to say before we wrap up, you're welcome back.
I wanted to say, with the new year, there's always the opportunity of opening a new chapter and trying new things with understanding a diagnosis or neurodivergence. Trying new things doesn't mean that you have to adopt them if they don't work out. So
Mm,
just be safe the way you do it, take it slow and talk to people, learn new words, new approaches of doing things, and have some fun. Do things that you actually like, not things that you think that you might like or things that everybody else seems to like. You can be
mm.
different and enjoy life as much as everybody else does.
I love that. That's a perfect message for New Year. Thanks so much, Kyriakos.
Take care, Jeremy. Bye.
Have a good trip. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Focus and Chill podcast. To listen to other episodes, jump onto podcast.focusbear.io. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or you know someone who'd be a good fit, email us at team@focusbear.io. Otherwise, stay focused, stay chilled, and peace out.